What's going on, guys? It's Gendo here, and welcome to episode 6 of If I Had a Hammer. And today, West Ham United will be taking on Southampton at home and Stoke City away. Now, you may be wondering why I'm sounding a little bit different this time around. It's because I did away with my old mic that was bringing in a buzz every time I went live with a previous recording, and it was starting to get on my nerves. It's starting to get on your nerves. So I'm currently using my webcam mic. I'm currently in transition. I will be getting a new mic soon. So don't you worry about that. The quality on that end will improve dramatically. But enough about that. Let's actually get into some business. And it is the 2nd of February, so the transfer window is closed. And we made a lot of deals, ins and outs. Let's take a look at how we did. So as you can see from the outs, quite a bit of movement from the 1st of January down. And let's just go down in order for all the people that we got rid of for money, and even a couple that were in on a free. Firstly, we released James Collins on a free just because he wasn't getting any first-team football. In fact, I didn't play him in any single league match this season, and I felt like that him being 32 and all of his stats declining just didn't warrant a place in the side. So I just cut him loose for no real penalty of our own, just got rid of him. Next up on the same day, I did say I was going to sell Nisi Jelovic, and we did get rid of him. We offloaded him to Brighton for £2.1 million. As I said, I really didn't factor him in much into the side. He was 30 years old. He wasn't as great in speed. He didn't have as great in the attacking stats like Pelosi did, and definitely not like what Sacco had. So I felt like it was all for the better to get rid of him, at least get some money out of it, and transform it back into the club on the way of new signings. That pretty much was the same way with Mauro Zarate, and he started off the game injured. I didn't really play him all that much because I wasn't using a center attacking mid for the majority of the season. I mean, if he was going to play, he was going to have to take up that striker role, which was already locked down between Sacco and Pelosi. So it was best to just get rid of him and also get some money out of him. And as you can see, we got £2 million for him, selling him to Genoa. The next two names are probably going to be the biggest surprise on the outs, and they are Winston Reid and Enner Valencia. PSG came in for Winston Reid, and he asked for £7.5 million, even though I valued him at somewhere around 14-15. They eventually settled on £7.5 million. And Winston was moaning about moving to a bigger team ever since the start of the save, so I guess that I could have let him go before the end of the summer transfer window, maybe have gotten a little bit more money out of it, but $7.5 million is still a reasonable price for a center back of his ability. And then the biggest sale of this club to date, and the second biggest shock you probably see, is Benfica coming in for Enner Valencia and paying £20.5 million for him. He wasn't asking to be moved, and in fact, he was playing fairly decent for the side. He got 3 goals in 9 matches when he did come back off of injury. But at the same time, I realized his value and our position when we were still down near the relegation zone. I had in the back of my mind, if I can sell anybody for value and use the money from that sale to bring in better players, it would have been an Enner Valencia. And while he is doing well at his new club in Benfica, getting back £20.5 million for the transfer definitely helps out in the short term. Our second to last transfer is Joey O'Brien away to Norwich for a fee of £825,000. This guy was playing second fiddle to Carl Jenkinson, and I wasn't giving him as much playtime as he would have liked. He isn't a bad right back, but at the same time, Carl Jenkinson just is better in speed, just about even in him defensively. And to be quite honest with you, I do favor Jenkinson more than Joey O'Brien. So I felt that, yes, he does deserve more playtime, but he wasn't going to get it here. So it was better offloading him and offloading his salary to Norwich and getting back a decent amount of transfer fee back. And then finally on deadline day, Czech Kyoto had a bid sent in for him by Lazio for about £5 million, and I turned it down. He got all pissy at me because he said he really wanted to move to Lazio. I told him I wanted him to stay at the club, maybe finish out the season. He said, no, I'm not going to play if I don't move now. I said, fine, whatever. Upped the transfer bid to £6 million, and Lazio eventually agreed on that. So if you're keeping a running tally of who went out as well as the amount total that we got back from these transfers, we had mostly defensive players as well as midfield players leaving the club. And we got back £39 million for that, so which we then turned around for these players coming in. Firstly, from Dynamo Moscow for a fee of £800,000, Christopher Samba. He is a 31-year-old center back, 6'4", really, really tall. And as I've said before in past series, I do like my tall defensive backs because they're great in terms of attacking and defending corners, just getting their big heads up and flicking it away or 2-goal, depending on the position that they're in. And while he may not be the fastest, he is 31, he is starting to slow down. He has a 13 pace, a 10 acceleration. The rest of his physicals are immense. A full 20 on the strength, 19 balance, of course, the 16 jumping reach because he is 6'4". All of his mentals are solid, and defensively, a 14 marking, a 16 tackling. Can't get too much better than that. The only thing I am worried about is the contract which he did sign. He is signed on for the next 2.5 seasons at £2 million per year. And to be quite honest with you, Winston Reid was getting more than that. He was getting £2.75 million. So I feel that I made out a lot better swapping Winston Reid for Christopher Samba. Not only did I get a great deal transfer-wise, only bringing him in for £800,000, but a lower contract definitely helps free up some of the wage budget. Next up, we have pretty controversial figure, Marwan Fellaini. And he's a guy that whenever somebody brings him in, he always has questions tied to him, like, is he going to perform as well as he will? When he was at Everton, me being an Everton fan, thought that he was a very solid asset to the team. When he went to Manchester United, I thought that he would be the spark in the midfield that would help the team do better than what they eventually did under Moyes. And while he is 28 years old, his stats are still pretty impressive. So I feel that him coming in at £7.75 million is going to be a very, very solid center mid and help be the spark here at West Ham in the middle. And I'm going to try and use his physical presence in the midfield, especially his tackling and his marking, to help win the ball back. Use him as that top ball-winning midfielder that he should be, to help get the ball back and then push it back forward to try and set up an attack. At £5.5 million coming in from Schalke, we have a 22-year-old Bosnian left back by the name of Shade Kolasinac. And just looking at his stats and his polygon, I see Carl Jenkinson, but on the left side. He's really pacey with a 17 in a pace, 12 agility, 14 acceleration, great physicals, decent defensive stats as well, with a 15 marking and a 15 tackling, decent positioning. He's got great work rate, great teamwork, and pretty much solid mentals up and down the board. To get him in for a contract of only £550,000 per year for the next 2.5 seasons is a steal, as I think he can develop into a solid left back alongside Aaron Cresswell. Maybe have Aaron Cresswell teach him the ins and outs to West Ham, and hope to have a great defensive back line with him on board now. And coming in from Partizan is the often sought-after Andrej Zivkovic for a fee of £750,000. Of course, he's going to be taking over that right attacking mid role that was left by Enner Valencia and his sale. But to be quite honest with you, at 19 years old and already looking like a very solid player, he's got nowhere to go but up. And I feel that getting him for £750,000 and having him on for a contract of only £1.3 million for the next 2.5 years, he can develop into a very solid player. So if I decide to turn around and sell him within those next 2 or 3 years, hell, maybe even keep him on and help develop this attacking style of play that I want to use here at West Ham, this is definitely the kid to do it. Aside from Fellaini, I'm really, really happy about this signing. And then finally, not a full transfer, but in fact a loan in from Dortmund. We have a center back by the name of Socrates Papastatopoulos, and of course, by the name you can tell he is Greek. The 27-year-old has some very, very nice physical and mental attributes on him, and defensively he's no slouch either, with a 19 marking and a 19 tackling. He can definitely take over, of course, in that center mid position, but I want to use him out on the right to try and complement Carl Jenkinson. While Jenkinson is more pacey, Socrates has that same amount of pace, but also better defensive stats. Overall, I'm very happy about this transfer window. I spent well under what we made back, and already am starting to see some of the finances come back into the club. Just this month, because of all those transfers and that balancing of the wage budget, we made £2.6 million. We're starting to climb back out of the hole. As you can tell by the overall balance, we're £250,000 in the black just by the rearranging of the contracts, the selling, and then the bringing in. So hopefully that trend can keep going upwards and we can continue getting more money into this club. But enough about the transfers. Let's take a look at our schedule and the matches that we've played so far. And today I'm not going to go into too much detail into the matches, except for one in particular. But in 6 league matches, we've won 2, drew 2, and lost 2. While in the FA Cup, we have gone undefeated so far, defeating Blackburn away from home 1-0, and then coming back home and defeating Swansea 2-0 in the 4th round. In the 5th round, we have drawn against Leicester City. We're going to be traveling to the KP Stadium. And doing a little check on Leicester, unfortunately, they are going to be without their golden boy in Jamie Vardy. Jamie Vardy out for 2 to 3 months with a slipped disc. So hopefully we can come away with a victory there. But getting back to the Premier League, and we have now dropped down to 11th place after this run of form. And to be quite honest with you, we probably could have dropped down a lot further if not for this impressive victory versus Arsenal at home, and we completely fluked into it. Yes, we had 12 shots, 4 of them on target, but West Ham getting help from a Per Mertesacker own goal right before the stroke of halftime, and then a foul in the box from Monreal on Chekiote, which set up a Marky Noble penalty in the 76th minute to help push us ahead of the Gunners 2-1 and getting all 3 points at Upton Park. That, however, was bookended by 2 draws, 2 very mediocre draws to a relegation hovering Sunderland side. I wasn't too happy about that. We then followed that up with a loss away from home to Everton 1-0. The roller coaster ride continued with a 1-0 victory over West Brom, but then a crushing defeat versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge 3-0. But aside from that, the next 6 matches in all competitions look pretty rosy. Of course, the Southampton and Stoke City matches today, followed by Bournemouth. The Ludogorets matches in the Europa League and Leicester City in the FA Cup should help us get some momentum, get some motivation, some morale back into this club before we get hit by the hammers that's Manchester City, Tottenham, and Swansea. So without any further ado, let's get into this match today versus Southampton. And I may be asking for a world of hurt today because I'm reverting back to the old 4-2-3-1 formation, just mainly because of the players that I have brought in from the transfer window. So here's the lineup for today. We're going to have Adrian in net, Socrates, Samba, Tompkins, and Cresswell along the back line. Sven Bender and Obiang will be the 2 center mids. Moses, Payet, and Zivkovic in the attacking mid roles, and Diafrasako sitting up front as a lone striker. We're back in the mid-table in the Premier League, but of course I always want to push higher. Maybe we can possibly get European qualification through either a cup or getting into 6th, 7th place position. Only one way to find out. Let's kick off and see what happens. Well, this is rather embarrassing. Absolutely no highlights in the first half, and we come to a 0-0 draw. I don't think there was a single shot on target just by looking at the stats. There definitely needs to be some change if we want to generate some sort of attacking movement. So let's tell them that something needs to happen out there. Finally, our first highlight of the day comes 7 minutes from time. It was a free kick from Southampton, but a good save from Adrian. Ball through, cut it out. Oh, who was 21 and why didn't you cut it out? Ogbonna. I'm surprised Ogbonna just stopped in his tracks. He was 2 feet from the guy and then stopped challenging him for the ball, which is really surprising. But Southampton's still coming forward. Still 6 minutes from time. Good block. Still 2 minutes from time. And once again, another attacking chance from Southampton. Good save from Adrian. Where have been our attacks? We've had 8 shots, but none of them on target. Southampton 9-4. Good clearance away. Zivkovic just completely letting up on him. I can't believe he didn't fly into a tackle. Well, this has been absolutely disappointing. I try and bolster the offense, and we end up with absolutely nothing as it is a boring 0-0 draw at home to Southampton. Something needs to change, and something needs to change fast. So with that said, let's just get right into the Stoke City match. So Stoke have now dropped down to 10th place after their last match and are going to come out of 4-4-1-1. With how lackluster our 4-2-3-1 was, we're going to go back to the building of the wall in this 4-5-1 kind of 4-3-3 hybrid. And this is how we're going to line up. We're going to have Adrian in net, Jenkinson, Samba, Ogbonna, and Cresswell along the back line. Fellaini, Obiang, and Sven Bender will be the 3 center mids. The 2 wingers will be Payet and Moses. And sitting up front this time, Alberto Pelosi. Hopefully we can get the bad taste of that 1 shot on goal from last time out of our mouths. And this time not only get shots on target, but get some goals. So let's kick off and see what happens. I don't know what to say to you guys. Second match in a row in this live com, and we've gone 0-0 with no highlights. But we've had shots on target. Apparently not good enough to warrant a highlight. We have 8 shots, 4 of them on target. Stoke has 4 and 1, so we are getting the shots off, but just not apparently anything noteworthy. So let's kick back off and, well, do something different. I'm not happy with the performance, especially everybody up front between Moses, Payet, and Pelosi. They need to find something that'll get us a goal. Well, at least we got ourselves a highlight now, but it's 55 minutes in. Long ball gets it through to Moses up on the wing. It's actually saved by Butman, so we get ourselves a corner. Finally. Finally something here. Cresswell getting into Fellaini. Samba was the foul. I thought it was a penalty for us. Man, even with shots on target and everything, once again, second match where this time we didn't even get a single highlight. Well, yes, we did. We actually got a highlight from that corner, but it just felt so long ago. Once again, another 0-0. This time we did get shots on target, but the game didn't want to show it to me. I do have it set to key. As you can see, it is set to key highlights. Apparently nothing in the game wanted to be shown as key. So once again, not happy with performance because you come away empty after, was it 6 shots on target? 5 shots on target, 13 total. Stoke 14 and 6, roughly the same amount of possession, even amount of fouls. But once again, it's another performance that goes begging. Well, we did jump back up into 11th place, but I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. I thought with the bolstering of the back line and the midfield that would have helped push the ball forward, get it up to the midfielders, and, well, push it all the way up to the wingers and the forwards. But the finishing just isn't there. The finishing is completely letting us down. And for us to go no goals in 2 matches, taking a grand total of 6 shots on target in both those matches, is rather unfortunate. Something needs to change attacking-wise, and maybe how I run things. Maybe I have to change up the formations. I don't know. I'll tinker with it after the episode. So that means we have 13 matches left to go in the Premier League, and of course, I do feel we will go further in the FA Cup as well as the Europa League, so there will be matches taking place in between our regularly scheduled league matches. So I think we're going to come back right around this area. Maybe Liverpool and Aston Villa. We'll double live com that. And who knows, maybe we'll get some goals in that time. Maybe we'll actually get some wins in this time. But only time will tell, of course. So when we come back, Liverpool and Aston Villa. So until that time, I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new and you want to see more FM content. Any comments, suggestions, questions, anything else, please leave in the comment box below. But as always, this is Gendo, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and peace out.